Okay, I'm quickly going to show you how to access the online STAR practice test that you can go through with your students to show them how to use some of the tools that are embedded within the secure testing platform, and also give your students some tips for how they could use these tools to help them when they're answering questions, when they're reading passages, um, when they're working out a problem, different things like that. So we're going to start by going to www.texasassessment.gov, and you can click educators. You could click students and families. Either one of those are going to get you to where we need to be. So then when you scroll down, it will say practice and release test here under information with prepare for testing. Um, And then you've got resources down here where you can look at the blueprints for the test. I went over these in a previous video, the assessed curriculum and different things like that. But we're going to go to the practice and released test. So on the left side, you can see that you can access printable PDF release tests. So these are tests that were given in previous years. We're going to do the online practice test. So we'll scroll down, online practice test. You have two different options, practice test login or test administrator practice site. We are using the practice test login. And we are going to log in just as a guest. So already guest user and guest session are toggled on. So we're just going to click sign in. You can choose your grade level. So if you're high school or middle school Algebra 1, you'll click EOC. Otherwise, you will select whichever grade level your students are in for that grade level STAR test. So I'm just going to click 4th grade. And then here are the options. We can do a 2022 STAR redesign practice test, which is what I would recommend. There are some just short new item types that you can view. And then STAR released practice tests. These are the STAR tests that were given in previous years. Okay, so I'm going to go to the 2022 STAR redesign practice test. Then I have some more options. Do I want to give a reading test? And then there are different versions. Do I want to give a math test? I'm going to click reading. And then you can also practice using some of the test attributes that your students may or may not get. So any of your students who have content and language supports, if you wanted to show those students what the content and language supports look like, what a pop-up looks like, different things like that, you could toggle this on. Auto text-to-speech you could toggle on. That is the one where it's going to read from top to bottom. The student cannot stop the test, stop the speaking. They're going to have to listen to it. And then text to speech down here at the bottom. This is the one where the student has a little bit more control over what is read. They can select things to be read, they can stop it, so they have control over the oral administration portion. Spelling assistance, you could toggle that on to show your students who do get spelling assistance. This would be for the extended constructed response. Essentially, it's going to underline or give some kind of indication that a word is not spelled correctly. The student will be able to click on that word and it will give them a list of possible alternatives. So the student could then click the word that they were meaning to spell. It does not give grammar and mechanics help. So it is just merely spelling. So it will not underline something that's a run-on sentence or anything like that. You could play with the zoom feature for any of your students who might have visual impairments and they need the screen to be zoomed in. You can look at that. And then if you have students who maybe one of their accommodations is they, for example, a student with dyslexia who might perform better with a yellow screen or blue screen or whatever, you can change the color settings there. Okay. All right, so then we'll just select, you can view your test settings again. Those are the ones that you just set. And I'm going to begin the test now. So this is what the test looks like for the student. On the left-hand side, notice that we have a reading selection. And then on the right-hand side, we have the question. So this is to help the student see what's being asked, what the answer choices are, so they can refer back to that throughout the test. They will read on the left-hand side. They can scroll over here, and the whole time, the question, the answer choices are right there for them to refer back to, okay? You do have arrows where if the student doesn't care about seeing the answer choices on the right-hand side, they could hide that, and then they could have a bigger screen to view the reading passage. They'll click the left side to take it back. But just make sure your students know how to hide and then how to get back to the answer choice screen. Just in case, they accidentally press this arrow on test day, they might panic thinking, where did my answer choices go? Show them how to use these arrows so that they don't get worried during the test that they've messed something up. Okay. So the tools that we have up top are the dictionary. So the student will click on the dictionary. They will type in whichever word they want to look up. I'm just going to pull a word from one of these answer choices, distance, dictionary. So it's going to give me several different definitions down there that I could look at. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the dictionary that is used for the STAR test does not have as many words as other dictionaries. It definitely does not have, it's the Merriam-Webster, not the online version. So the online version has a ton more words and definitions than the one that's embedded here. So you might just tell your students, if you look up a word and it's not bringing about a result, try to look up a synonym or something close to help you with that. Over here we have a notepad. So this is just kind of like a sticky note. Students can type. Unsaved notes will be lost when the notepad is closed. Make sure you save notes before you close the notepad by clicking Save and Closed. The people scoring the test do not read your notes. You do have to still choose your answer choice, okay? So I saved my notes, but if I bring my notepad back up, here it is. Okay, save and close. All right, we've got the line reader. This can help with your students who might need a little extra help staying on the right line. So notice that it outlined this in blue. So as I'm scrolling, I can click as I'm reading this line, then I click. So that's just going to help me make sure I don't accidentally skip a line. You can use this over here for the answer choices as well. Then we have a zoom out and a zoom in button as well. Okay. All right, so notice that this passage in particular has multiple questions, so we can just keep on answering those. The passage is going to stay right there, but it's showing that we have 8 questions right here, 8 questions over this one passage. I didn't actually submit anything, but now we can tell with this next passage, we've got questions 9 through 16. So they're just going to keep working. Notice I can bring my notepad up. I'm on a different question, but I still have my notes saved. So if I were a student, I might make sure that I am typing with the question number, so that if I do open this back up later, maybe I'm writing a note and flagging this question to come back to because I'm not quite sure if I have the right answer, then those notes will be here. And so to do that, you'll click the down arrow next to the 3 lines, and they can mark the question for review. That's going to flag it. So when they get to the end screen, then they will see a little flag there. They'll know, oh, I wanted to go review this. So they can mark a question for review. Puts the little flag there. They can bring up a sticky note. Now these, once again, save and close. So sticky notes, notepad, all in the same. And then we could also use a strike through. So if I know that A is not the right answer, I turn on that strike through function. I can cross out anger. I can cross out jealousy, but I'm not quite sure if they are confused or worried here. So then I can just click the three little lines here again and my passage comes back up. I can go back through. It's not letting me highlight, but I can go back through, read it again. Okay, well, I know B is the right answer. And then save. It'll take me to the next one. It does save every 15 seconds. So it's always a good practice to save after every question. But if a student just presses next, then it's going to save every 15 seconds anyways. So I'm just going to try to skip through here to get to the end of the test real quick. I would definitely make sure that you're showing your students how to type in the short constructed responses, the extended constructed responses. If you are a math person, you're going to have a grid on here that your kiddos will get to use. So if you're a math person, I definitely would do that and show them how to use the new grid function. Math and science, if your kiddos get a calculator, I would pull that up and make sure to walk them through pulling up the calculator. Otherwise, I'm going to end my test. And so show students, it's going to take you to this screen and have them know if you flag a question, you've marked that one to go back to. I could click right here and it's going to take me straight back to number 9. The triangle, it indicates unanswered items. So obviously I would not do very well because I only answered one question. So if there's an orange triangle, that means something got skipped and they would need to click on that. Takes them right back into the test so they could answer it and then end test again. And then say I answered all of my questions, then I would submit and then I would be done. On the real test, of course, it's not going to give you any results. But review screen is super important in making sure that all of the questions get answered. If you have any questions about accessing the right practice test, or if you are giving a test other than reading and you need help accessing the test with certain accommodations, explaining how certain tools work within there, please let me know. But everyone does need to walk their classes through a practice test so our kiddos know what's available to them and they know how to use the tools that they do have.